بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. In the previous session we talked about two major groups of ethical theories when it comes to deciding whether moral propositions are cognitive or not, or descriptive or not. We said there are people who believe that moral propositions, even if they are expressed as statements, they are not really statements. This is just on the surface. In reality, they are insha. Imperativists, they say they are commands. Emotivists, they say they are expressions of one's feelings and emotions and attitude. Prescriptivists, like Hare, R.M. Hare, he says it's a matter of giving practical advice, not scientific advice. Practical advice to someone who wants to know what to do. You are not trying to influence their emotions, but you are not also giving them some knowledge. And also there are people who believe that akhlaq is a matter of contract, agreement, decision made by authority. Those who are descriptive and believe akhlaq is cognitive, they say akhlaq, even if it is expressed as insha, it's a statement in reality. And akhlaq informs us about external facts or internal facts. In both cases, it is cognitive and it's talking about facts. It can be true or false. Internal, like for example, if someone believes that whatever leads to pleasure is good, so we have to check whether this has led to pleasure or not. Or if someone says whatever leads to, for example, flourishment of one's, talents and skills, self-realization, so you can check it. Now we want to talk about what we think to be the right position. As we already said when we were talking about moral concepts, we believe that akhlaq is real. Akhlaq, whether we understand or not, whether we agree or not, whether we like or not, even if we don't exist, akhlaq is there. For example, suppose human beings are not yet created, or human beings die, still keeping promise is good. Beating an innocent child is bad, even if we don't understand or we don't exist. These are realities, these are facts. We said akhlaq goes back to the real relation between our voluntary actions and our perfection. Whatever you think to be the perfection, maybe you think it's money, maybe you think it's fame, but whatever is perfection, for example, we think perfection of human being is to become nearer to God or to develop completely human potentials. You remember in akhlaq in the first year we said there are two sides of the same coin: nearness to God or becoming complete human being, insan kamil, remember. So there is a real relation between our voluntary actions. Why I say voluntary actions? Because if it is not voluntary action, we don't talk about it, akhlaq. My hair grows. This is not in my hand, so we don't talk about it whether it is good or bad. Yes, how to dress my hair, it's voluntary. Yeah, but the growth of my hair and nails, for example, are not in my hand. Whatever is somehow related to your freedom, that is discussed in akhlaq. If it is outside your control, fully outside your control, not in the beginning nor in the middle, it's not related to akhlaq. So akhlaq is about real relation between our voluntary actions and our perfection, or between our qualities of soul that can be changed and our perfection. If something has a positive relation, if something can help in getting nearer to perfection, we call it, it is good. This is not arbitrary. Good here means that this leads to that. For example, you ask me, I want to make delicious cake. Is it good to have sugar or not? I say yes, it is good. This good is not arbitrary. This good is not my feelings. This good is real fact. You must have something sweetener to make the cake delicious. You cannot add salt to cake. Okay? I want to make water. Do I need to have oxygen? Yes, you must have oxygen. You must tell the truth. It's like you must have oxygen. You must have oxygen to get water. You must tell the truth to get perfection. So here, akhlaq is not very much different from different sciences. It's a matter of reality. And the role of the scholar of akhlaq is to help us discover these connections, these links. What would make me a better person? What would make me nearer to God? What give me peace, tranquility? Whatever is your ideal and end in akhlaq. The relation between our voluntary actions and perfection, or our qualities and perfection, is a causal relation. And this is why, we said, Allama Tabatabai says, Wujuba bil ghayr, Ayatullah Misbah says, Wujuba bil qiyasa ila al ghayr. And we say both are correct, depending on which approach you take. Because if you are thinking about ma'lul, it takes wujuba bil ghayr from illah. But if you look at illah, then with the existence of ma'lul, illah is wujuba bil qiyas. And then we said al illatul ghaiya is illah, but ghaya as a reality is ma'lul. Anyway, talked about it. So moral judgments are descriptions of realities, even if they are put in the form of insha. If we say i'dilu, still it involves al-adlu hasanun. So i'dilu involves a statement. For akhlaq, like other subjects in sciences, we need to check nafsul amr. You remember in philosophy we had a discussion about nafsul amr. We said philosophers believe that for every reality there is something in the realm of realities that is the source against which you can check. But in order to have an inclusive name, they call it nafsul amr, because those realities, those sources can be different. For example, if I say Zaid lives, okay, you look at Zaid, you see his life, he's living, he has life, you say, okay, this is true. If I say Zaid is the most knowledgeable person in our city, then you see it's not as clear as saying Zaid is alive. Because to be most knowledgeable is not something that you can point at it. If I say Zaid is, 2 meters, 1.5 meters, whatever, these things are easy. But if you say it's the most knowledgeable person, it's not easy. If, for example, I say Zaid is mumkinul wujud, again, it's not that easy, but it's a reality. So, philosophers have come up with a term which says nafsul amr, means in reality, in extended version of reality, which includes mafahim mahuvi and ma'qulat saniya falsafi. Okay? In that way of understanding reality, everything factual has a basis. Akhlaq is again based on reality, but it's reality, it's not mahuvi, it's ma'qul saniya falsafi. You can say nafsul am, but you have to be careful. If you ask a scholar of akhlaq, show me in the laboratory under microscope or lens why telling truth is good, he cannot show you this. In the same way that a philosopher cannot show you philosophical ideas in laboratory. But this doesn't mean they are not real. Laboratory is for ma'qulat ula or mafahim mahuvi. But in akhlaq we are talking about ma'qulat thaniya falsafi. So you need to be more advanced. It's not like physics and chemistry that every person can see or touch. It needs more advanced understanding. But there is a reality. By reflecting on the relation between voluntary actions and perfection, or between qualities and perfection, you can decide whether this is beneficial or not. If it is beneficial, if it is contributing, if it is positive, it's good. Or you can say it's right. If it is harming the relation, it's bad or wrong. Also, you can say it in the form of insha, do it if it is positive. If it is harmful to nearness to God, to perfection, you say don't do it. So whether you say amr or nahy on one side, or you say a statement, is the same. Both of them are talking about reality. Now you may ask, if that is the case, why we sometimes use ikhbar and sometimes insha? Why we don't always use ikhbar? Why we human beings made things difficult for ourselves? We could have always said telling truth is good. Why we say tell the truth? The answer is clear. These are reasons for choosing what would serve the purpose of the speaker better. Sometimes, and I want here to expand a little bit. Sometimes I think it's better for me to say something as a statement. Why? Because I don't want to have any involvement. I say telling truth is good. This is objective, and at the same time, this is somehow neutral. For some reason, I don't want to tell you tell the truth. Why? Maybe because, for example, I feel embarrassed to tell you tell the truth. Yeah? Maybe I think I am not in a position to tell you tell the truth. I just say telling the truth is good. Like I say mubahasa is good, but maybe I don't say do mubahasa because I feel embarrassed to say do mubahasa. Or maybe I have said so many times and now I feel, it's embarrassing for you to say do mubahasa. So I say mubahasa is good. So there can be many practical reasons. Or sometimes maybe I want to use, this is a very important point, our personal relation to encourage you to be moral. If I just say telling truth is good, it's something independent. But for example, you are someone who respects me, you are my child, you are my student, or I have somehow been helping you, so you have a positive view about me, and now I want to use that in order to make you more encouraged to be moral. So I say tell the truth. But this should come from a person who has a good position with you. If someone has a bad position and says tell the truth, it works opposite. And this is why I say when parents, teachers, ulama, elderly members of community, or any person who has power, when they talk about akhlaq, if they have already established a good relation, then to say do or not to do is useful. If they don't have already established good relation, it's better not to say do or not to do. Just say it as a statement, or even sometimes better not to even say as a statement. Because even sometimes people understand by themselves, but if I keep telling truth is good, can be offense. So you have to be very wise in understanding whether you should say something or no. And if you have to say, how to say it, how much to say it, when to say it. These are all subtle points that a moral preacher has to observe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran sometimes talks to us by using statements, and sometimes he talks to us by commands and prohibitions. Because he has already blessed us a lot and we owe him a lot. He has a high position. He wants to use that background in order to help us to get more motivation to be moral. إن الله يأمركم أن تؤدوا الأمانات إلى أهلها. You don't need Allah tell you to do that. You must do it anyway. But Allah knows that we are sometimes weak. We are not doing everything that we understand by our moral conscience. So He is so kind that uses His relation with us in order to motivate us, and He knows that He might be taking some risk. Because some people don't like to be told what to do and what not to do. But He knows that For most of people, if you don't command them, they don't do it. This is why Allah sends the prophets as mubashir wa nadhir. Ya ayyuhan nabi inna arsalnaka shahidan wa mubashiran wa nadhiran. We need some time to warn people. But even bashara means to encourage them. People need encouragement. People need warning. At least I can say 90% of people, if not more, they need this type of things. But if someone is really an honorable person, he doesn't need to be told what to do. They do it automatically. Yes, an honorable. You remember about karama and hurriya. I said my understanding of hur is the one who does moral things automatically. This is hur, a free person. Because if you are free from pressures, external pressures or pressures of nafs, then you don't have any reason for not doing good things. Why people don't do things that they know they are good? Because of pressure. Yeah? Otherwise, if there is no pressure, internal or external, you just act with innocence. You do good things automatically. And that is hur. Hur is a person who acts according to moral instructions that come from our fitrah. Doesn't need reward or punishment. Okay, so there are different reasons for which we may decide to use statements or commands and prohibitions, ikhbar or insha. But this does not change the reality that akhlaq is fact-based. Akhlaq is cognitive. Akhlaq is descriptive. Now, if someone believes that akhlaq is insha, not ikhbar, there are some bad consequences, some false consequences that they cannot accept. One is, if akhlaq is insha, it's based on someone commanding or prohibiting or making the decision, then one problem is, who is the one who is legitimate commander? No human being for sure can be legitimate commander, because I am free, no one can force me. Even I cannot force myself. Why? Do you know why? If someone says, no problem, you force yourself. The problem is that if I am the authority of akhlaq, then whenever I don't like it, I say, I am the authority. I made this law, I cancel it now. This is not akhlaq. Akhlaq is something which is transcendent. You feel you must do it, whether you like it or not. If you say akhlaq is your own choice, then people every day keep change the norms of akhlaq. If not every day, every few days. On Saturday and Sunday weekend, we can do this. Weekdays we don't do this. When we are at home, we don't do this. When we are outside, they can make so many ad hoc decisions to please themselves. So akhlaq cannot be initiated by me, cannot be initiated by other people. You may say, okay, it is initiated by God. But we said even divine command theory has a problem. If you mean akhlaq is initiated by God in the sense that in reality there is no difference between adl and zulm, between honesty and dishonesty, between keeping promise and breaking a promise, there is no difference, and only God comes and arbitrarily makes one good and the other bad, we said we have problem with this. Akhlaq is reality and not decision. Even if that decision is decision of God, it has to be based on reality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is too wise and too good to ask us to do something which is baseless, which is absurd. Those who believe that whatever God commands automatically becomes good, by definition, they are not doing any service. So one problem is, for those people who say akhlaq is insha'i, who is the one who can make that insha? Another consequence is, it seems that we would need to have two types of intellect or aql, if you believe in moral reasoning. For us, we say we have one aql, but two realms of activities. You know, we have aql nazari, aql amali. Theoretical intellect or reason and practical reason. Theoretical reason or intellect, al-aql nazari, tells us what is and what is not there. Okay? Everything in sciences, in metaphysics, in mathematics, it's aql nazari, theoretical reason or intellect. Aql amali is the one that says do or don't. You know, from time of Greek philosophers and then in Islamic classic philosophy, we had this, that aql amali is akhlaq, and it is siyasat mudun and tadbir manzil, ethics, politics, and house management. These are akhlaq amali. How to run your home, how to run the society, and how to improve your morality. These are practical. There is a big question. We don't want to go into that discussion now. But just to give you an idea, some people think we have two different types of aql. One is responsible for understanding theoretical things. One is responsible for understanding practical things. What we say, we have only one aql. And if you see, some of the things we understand are is and is not, and some are ought and ought not, they all go back to the facts. And this is one aql for understanding facts. The way it's formulated or packed is different. You have one factory, but sometimes, you know, packs it in the form of statements, sometimes in the form of commands, but it comes from the same factory. Another consequence of believing akhlaq is non-descriptive is that it would lead to relativism, because there is no reality for it, there is no rationality there. Even you can mention lacking rationality as a problem. And another problem is relativism, because if there is no reality and no rationality, then two people or two groups of people can have different opinions, and you cannot say you are right, you are wrong. What is relativism? Relativism means there is no single true morality. There can be more than one single true morality. Akhlaq becomes relative. For some people, something becomes good. For some other people, something else becomes good, and no one can question. No one can say you are right, you are wrong. So these are the problems with those who believe that akhlaq is not descriptive. Some of the problems. I hope what we discussed today was helpful, because this was one of the most fundamental issues in moral philosophy. Inshallah, we continue our discussion in the next session on Friday. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.